Right now, sitting under the dash of nearly every car built since 1996, there is a small plastic socket, 16 pins, about the size of a matchbook. Most people who own that car have never once looked at it. They do not know it is there. But the law says it must be there within 2 feet of your steering wheel, and the law says what it has to tell you. A little orange light comes on, the check engine light. Your stomach drops because you have been trained your whole life to be afraid of that light, so you drive to the shop. And the man behind the counter says the same thing they always say. We will have to run a diagnostic. That is $90, $90, sometimes $150, just to find out what is wrong, not to fix it, to find out. And here is the part they are counting on you never learning. That $90 diagnostic, the very first thing it does, the thing you are actually paying for, a $3 tool does the exact same thing. The same number, the same words, out of the same socket the law already put in your car for you. I am going to show you that tool. I am going to show you how to use it, sitting in your own driveway in about 4 minutes. And before this video is over, I am going to show you a vote. A real vote, taken by real people twice, that tells you exactly who has been fighting to keep that little socket locked and why. Stay with me. Now, after my last video, a good many of you wrote to me, and I read every single one, and a lot of you said the same thing. You said, Amos, that is fine for the house, for the garden, for the cellar. But what about the machine sitting in my driveway that I cannot live without and cannot afford to feed? What about the car? I will be honest with you. I do not drive one. I never have. But my sons keep a diesel engine running the compressor out in the shop, and the man on the next farm over, my English neighbor, he drives a truck 30 miles to work and back every day of his life. And I have stood in his garage and watched him hand his money to a stranger for a thing he could have done himself with his own 2 hands. So I went and learned it. I sat with that young man and we did it together, and I am going to walk you through exactly what we did. But first you have to understand what that little socket actually is, because once you understand that, you will never look at a $90 diagnostic the same way again. Here is the number that matters. 1996. That is the year it became the law in this country that every car and light truck sold has to carry the same standardized diagnostic system. They call it OBD2, Onboard Diagnostics, 2nd generation. Before that, every maker did it their own way with their own secret plugs and their own secret codes, and you were at their mercy. After 1996, the government said enough. 1 socket, 1 language. 16 pins, the same shape in a Ford and a Honda and a Chevrolet, mounted within 2 feet of the driver's knee. Now think about why they did that. They did not do it to be kind to you. They did it for the air. The Environmental Protection Agency wanted to know if your car was poisoning the sky, and to check that, every car needed a port that any inspector could plug into and read. So the law forced a standard, open, readable socket into your dashboard. A socket designed, from the very first day, to be read by an outsider with a cheap tool. Read that twice. The whole purpose of that port is that it can be read with a simple, standard reader. It was never meant to be a secret. The only secret is that most folks were never told it was there. So what is it telling? When something goes wrong, a sensor, a misfire, a leak, the car's computer writes down a code, a letter and 4 numbers, P0420, P0301. That code is the check engine light. The light is just the computer's way of saying, I wrote something down, come and read it. The $90 diagnostic is a man plugging a reader into that socket, reading the words the car already wrote and reading them back to you. That is the service. That is what costs $90. Now, I want to be honest with you the way I always am, because this is where the breathless fellows on the internet start lying, and I will not. This is not an old Amish trick. We did not have computers in our buggies in 1850. There is no grandfather story here about a socket under a dashboard, and I will not pretend there is. But there is an old rule, And the rule is older than any engine. My grandfather had it and his before him. The rule is this. You do not pay another man to tell you what your own property already knows. You learn your tools. You learn your animals. You learn your land. A horse does not hide what is wrong with it behind a $90 fee. You put your hand on its leg and it tells you. And a plain man learns to read it himself, because the moment you cannot read your own property, you do not really own it. You are only renting it from whoever can. For 200 years, that is how we have lived. We fix our own harness. We pull our own nails. We pour our own foundations. And we do not call the English to read a number off a machine that is already sitting in our own barn. Not out of pride, out of plain sense. Every dollar you hand to a stranger for a thing you could do yourself is a dollar that does not feed your family. The car is new. The rule is not. And the men who write down a code where you could read it and then charge you $90 to read it aloud, they are betting that you have forgotten the rule. They are betting you have forgotten that a thing which can be read by law can be read by you. And here is where it gets uncomfortable. Because the people who sell you that $90 diagnostic have known for a very long time that the first step, the reading of the code, is a thing you could do yourself in your own driveway. It is not a secret to them. It has never been a secret to them. It is a secret kept from you. Think about how it is set up. From the day you buy the car, you are taught to fear that orange light. You are never told there is a socket. You are never told there is a $3 tool. You are told, bring it in and we will run a diagnostic. And that word, diagnostic, is doing a great deal of work. It sounds like medicine. It sounds like a doctor. It is a man plugging in a reader and reading you a number, the very same number a child could read with a telephone, and charging you $90 for the act of reading it. And the deeper you look, the worse it gets. For years, the most detailed information, the full set of codes, the data the dealer's computer could see, was kept close, kept with the dealerships, kept away from the independent mechanic down the road that you trust, and kept away from you entirely. The man who built the car decided who was allowed to understand it. And if only the most expensive door is allowed to read your car, then you will always walk through the most expensive door. Now I told you at the start I would show you a vote, a real one taken twice. I have saved it for last because it is the part that tells you everything. Stay with me one more minute. Now if you are sitting there thinking this is only for people buying a brand new car, or people who are good with their hands, stay with me because this next part is for you especially. You do not need a new car. You do not need to be a mechanic. If your car was built any time in the last 30 years, that socket is already under your dash, waiting. Here is exactly what to do. The tool is this. It is a small plastic adapter about the size of a key fob that plugs into that 16-pin socket. The cheap ones and the cheap ones work go by a chip name, ELM327. You can find one for $3, $4, $5. I'm not going to send you anywhere to buy it, and I have nothing to sell you, not ever. Type those numbers into any place that sells car parts, and you will find a pile of them for the price of a sandwich. It talks to your telephone. You put a free app on the phone. There are several simple ones made for exactly this, and the little adapter sends the car's words to your phone over the air, just a few feet from the socket to your hand. Here is the whole thing start to finish. You find the socket under the dash near your left knee within 2 feet of the wheel because the law put it there. You push the adapter in. You turn the key to on. You do not even have to start the engine. You open the app, you press the button that says red, and in a few seconds the same words that man was going to charge you $90 for appear right there in your hand. P0420. And next to it in plain English the app tells you what it means. Let me tell you what a few of those mean because this is the part that will make you laugh and then make you angry. There is a code P0455. Do you know what that one is? Very often, a leak in your fuel vapor system. And the most common cause of it is a gas cap that is simply loose. That is it. People have paid $100 to be told to go outside and tighten their own gas cap with their own hand. There is P0301, a misfire in cylinder 1. There is P0171, the engine running a little lean. Each one points you to a place to look. And there is more in that little adapter than just the stored codes. While the engine runs, that same socket pours out a river of live numbers. Your coolant temperature, your engine speed, how hard the computer is working to keep the fuel mixture right. The very things a mechanic watches on his expensive machine, all of it coming out of the same $3 port, into the same telephone in your hand. You can sit in your own driveway and watch your engine think. And there is one more button, and this is the one they really do not want you holding. The button that says clear. When the problem is dealt with, when you have tightened that cap, you press clear and the light goes off. You did not pay a man $90 to turn off a light. You turned it off yourself in your driveway with a $3 tool in about 4 minutes. Now I promised you I would be honest the whole way, and here is where I keep that promise, because the breathless fellows never will. That little tool does not fix your car. Hear me. It reads the code and the code points you to a system, but it does not always name the exact broken part. A P0420 might be a worn-out part deep in your exhaust, or it might be a cheap little sensor, or it might be a small leak. The code narrows it down from the whole car to one corner of it. That is enormous. That is the $90, but it is the beginning of the diagnosis, not the end of it. A good, honest mechanic after that point is still worth his pay, and there are good and honest ones. What you are no longer paying for is the part you could have done yourself. And one more honest word, and it matters. Do not use that clear button to hide a real problem. If the light comes back, the car is telling you the truth, and you should listen. And do not clear a code right before an emissions test, thinking you will sneak through. The test can tell the computer was just wiped clean and you will fail anyway. The tool is for knowing. It is not for pretending. A plain man does not lie to his own machine. Here it is now, the thing I saved for last. In the year 2012, in the state of Massachusetts, the people were finally given the chance to vote on it directly. The question was plain. Should you and the independent mechanic you trust have the same right to your car's diagnostic information that the dealership has, the same codes, the same data? The people voted yes, by 86% to 14. Write that number down. You cannot get 86% of Americans to agree on almost anything, and 86% of them said, give us the right to read our own machines. And you would think that ended it. It did not, because the car makers found a door around that law. They began taking the information out of the socket under your dash, the one you can reach, and sending it through the air instead. Wireless, straight to themselves. Telematics, they call it. The data left your dashboard and went off to their computers. The law from 2012 had left that one door open, and they walked straight through it. So the people of Massachusetts had to do the whole thing over again. In the year 2020, 8 years later, the very same fight, a second time, just to shut the door the car makers had pried back open. And again, the people voted yes. Again they said, it is our car, it is our data, give us the key. Twice, 8 years apart. Ordinary people had to stand up and vote twice, just to keep the right to read a number out of a socket the law had already bolted into their own dashboard. Now you tell me, who spends millions of dollars twice, fighting that hard to keep you out of your own car? Only a man who is making a fortune off the fact that you believed you were locked out. So here is the truth of it, plain as I can say it. That knowledge was never lost. It was not too complicated for you. It was not hidden because it was dangerous. It was kept just out of your reach, behind a word that sounds like medicine and a fee that sounds official, because there is a great deal of money in $90 charged 1,000 times a day, to people who were never told about the $3 tool and the socket already sitting in their car. You were never given it. Now you have it. If you are the kind of person who believes that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, because it helps this reach one more person who is sitting in a waiting room right now, about to hand over $90 to be read a number. And tell me something in the comments. Tell me the worst diagnostic fee you have ever been charged. The dollar amount and what the problem turned out to be. I want to see them all in one place. I read every single one. Then subscribe and stay close, because next time I am going to show you the other half of this. The little tool tells you what is already wrong, but there is an old, plain way to know your engine is about to fail before that light ever comes on. A thing a good mechanic used to do with nothing but his ear and his hand, that they have quietly stopped teaching. I will show you exactly how. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, learn your tools, read your own machines, and pay no man to tell you what is already yours. And remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.